Welcome to another Groovy Tuesday. How are we all doing today? I think I'm connected. I think it's working. I shall wait for an all clear on the sound. I can see people are watching. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How are we all doing today? It's Tuesday again. I know I say it every single week. Tuesday just comes around again and again and again. Well, it's going to, isn't it? Because there's Tuesday in every week. So yeah, I think this is my all clear from Jilly. Thank you, Jilly. Jilly's just given me the all clear that the sound is all good today. So good morning. We've got the lovely Jane, our lovely Karen Smith. We've got Sheila. We've got Elaine. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Groovy Tuesday. As I was just saying, sometimes the Tuesdays take a long time to come round, and then sometimes they're there, instant. It's crazy. I suppose it depends what you've been up to during the course of the week and the weekend. So, how are we all doing? Have we all had a good week so far? I know it's only Tuesday, but it's been busy here at Clarity Towers. So, we've got lots of exciting new stuff coming up over the coming weeks. And Barb's on TV on Friday for a mixed media show with some beautiful designs by Cherry Green. So yeah, that should be a good show. So we'll give everyone a few minutes to get into the room, get your coffee ready, your tea, your water, your juice. Lovely. Nice cup of milky coffee. Good way to start the session. Good morning, lovely Jane, Judith. There's Jilly. Morning, lovely people. Here to help if she can. I'm sure she can indeed. And we've got the design team in the room as well. So if you've got any questions, then feel free to ask during the course of the hour. I'll try and sort of look up. If not, Jilly will sort of ping me a little message and I will try and respond as we go along. So how are we doing? I think I'm really early to the party today. My phone says it's 1 minute past and my computer says it's 1 minute to. So we'll go for the happy medium and we'll say it's 10 o'clock. I don't know. Technology. I'm more reliant on the phone, I think, for the time than the computer, because the computer is asking for an update. So I'm not going to press any buttons. So how are we all doing? We haven't got the lovely Linda today. Linda's on a bit of a break from the Pergamano Summer School. She's working on some amazing stuff that's coming up over the next couple of weeks. So we thought this would be a perfect opportunity over the next couple of weeks just to go back to basics and sort of pick up on areas that we covered in the early stages of Groovy Tuesday. And last week we did some colouring in with the Perga liner pencils, and I really loved the effect that we got. There was two different techniques I showed. One was direct to the parchment and how you can just colour in like I would normally, colour in, then add some dark colours, then use the blending pen with some Dorso oil to blend out and get a really nice natural look. And then I used the mix mat to mix the same two colours together. And you know what? I was a lot happier with that result. And so what I did was I rubbed out the bit where I went direct onto the parchment and I finished off my piece. So let me show you what I did. So here it is just on black. I mean, it looks really flat, doesn't it? Remember I was testing my colors on here first and it looks really flat on the black. But let's take a couple of different backgrounds. So if you take craft card, you can really start to see how we've got a little bit of depth and it's very subtle in the coloring. And then if I take white, what the white does, the white is a bit strong because although you can see the color, you sort of lose the circle. Maybe you want to lose the circle. Maybe you don't want it to be as prominent in your design. But for me, what I found worked really well was Barb's favorite Toscana papers. So again, you've got this beautiful one here that's got that beautiful sort of lakeside look to it. So again, if I pop that underneath, and you can start to see, if you move it around, how you can pick up different areas of the paper and how it can change the look. And then the other part of that paper is more sort of a muted, like a wash type of color. So again, you can move that around and you can have a play to see where it sits, or have a look at Waimea Falls or Amazonia would work perfectly with the two colors. And the two colors we worked with last week were the B14 and the B5. But you can see here, it's just those two colorways. So if you want to see how we created that beautiful sort of soft color palette, then you can catch up on our YouTube channel. It was episode 25, Back to Basics. So then I thought what we'd have a look at today would be the Perga Colour pens. Okay, now these are fantastic because they're a water-based pen. You've got two different ends to them. Let me show you. Let's pop that to one side. I know I'm sort of steaming ahead a little bit. So you've got one end here, and let's take the other end off there. So I'm going to come in on the other camera so we can really sort of see. There we go. Look, if I put it in front of the white paper, you can see you've got a really nice thin nib. So to me, these are like a fine liner. You get, even if you into your art journaling, these are fantastic for just writing with. And then you've got more of a bullet nib as well for larger areas. So I thought what we'd have a look at this week is colouring in with these beautiful pens. Make sure I put the right lid on the right one. So I have gone for, oops, let's have a look. I've gone for number 9 and number 10 on the colour palette. Okay, so for this morning, just choose two colours that are similar to one another. So number 9 and number 10. We're going to have a look at we're going to use the same beautiful flower, the mallow flower again. And then we'll need a piece of parchment. But I mean, again, just because it says it's a mallow, this could be various different flowers. I mean, I'm sort of not an expert when it comes to flowers, but I know a daffodil and a tulip and the obvious ones. And we've got the lovely lavender. So these colours would work beautifully on this plate here. But again, when you look, let me just bring in my big pink bag. Let's have a look. So the pens, let me zoom out a little bit so we can really indulge in my organisation. So which way am I going? I'm going that way. There we go. So in my bag, I've got my Perga liner pencils. So the Perga liner pencils, you get 16 of what we call a B pencil, a basic pencil, and these are a wax-based pencil. So these are perfect for working on your parchment, but also fantastic for colouring in your stamped images as well. In addition to that, you then get 20 watercolour pencils. So again, perfect for your parchment, even though parchment doesn't like water. But again, great for your stamping as well. And then the Perga Colour Exclusive Pens, you get a beautiful rainbow of colours. You get 30 different colours in total. So you've got dark pinks, light pinks, bright pinks, softer pinks. You've got different tones of yellows, greens, teals, oranges, pinks. So a real sort of different browns, blacks, really sort of, again, perfect for your parchment, but also for your normal colouring in as well. And it's a really nice set to get you going. So let me zoom in again now. So there we go. Let's see how far we want to come in this morning. I reckon just about there. So, okay. So parchment, the plate, any flower, even if you've got the beautiful butterfly wreath, that'll be perfect for that. It's the same technique, it's just a different shape. So parchment, Groovi guard, plate, 2 pens. As I say, I've gone with the 9 and the 10. And then what we're also going to do is we're going to use our mix mat. Where's my mix mat for water? Oh, I'm going to use my mix matte for look, I can see I've already got some colour on there from previous use. And then we're going to use the water brushes without water. So these are just dry. These have never had any water in them at all. And our blending nibs. Okay. So that's what we're going to need to get started. But before we do, let's chill. Let's and breathe. I'll give you a few minutes to get all the bits and pieces together. So, oh, good morning, Pat. I've just seen Pat Hoskins pop up. Hope you're well. So, okay. Ooh, itchy nose. Does that mean it's a surprise or does it mean it's going to rain? We'll find out later. It's lovely and sunny here in Edenbridge in Kent today. And I know if we had lovely Linda with us today, she will probably say it's overcast or it's raining. But maybe she's lucky today. Maybe she's got some sunshine as well. And I hope you've all got some sunshine where you are today, because I think the sun just makes us feel a lot more happier. Okay. Okay. So what I thought we would do is we'll stick to the same flower and we can then compare the different types of colouring from the pencils to the pens. And I thought, because some people have the pencils, some people have the pens, some people have both. So it's just giving you choices, really. So I thought this week we would do the Perga Colour Exclusive Pens. Next week, we're going to do some picot cutting. And then the fourth week of this little sort of interlude of the Pergamano Summer School, I thought we'd have a look at some finishing tips, how to finish off your project, how to attach it to the card. Because there's so many different ways. I mean, one of the obvious ways is using our brads. You know, I've got all my lovely brads in our beautiful little containers. So we've got all the lovely colours in there. I got my luxury ones in there, and then I've got one that's got all my different nibs in as well. So I thought that's what we'll have a look at, not next week, but the week after. So are we good to go? Are we ready to rock and roll and get in the groove? Okay. So to start off with, what we're going to do is we're going to just trace out the design with the number 1 tool, so we've got a beautiful crisp white line. Okay, so I'm going to take my Groovi tab. I mean, I'm using a clean piece of parchment. I could use the same piece of parchment that I was practicing with the pencils, but maybe I want to do something else with that later. I don't know yet. So I'm going to attach my Groovi tab to stop it moving around. I'm going to give it a wipe with my tumble dry sheet. And then I need my number 1 tool, which is put back in my bag. I hope I put it back in my bag. Yeah, there it is. No, it's not. There it is. I think I must have borrowed it earlier. No, there it is. It's, oh, open your eyes, Paul. So we're going to use the number 1 tool to trace out our design, because we're not worried at this point about doing any white work. And all I'm going to do, I'm going to push into the groove. See, for me, it's weird. Some people say, well, where do you start with a design? For me, I don't know why, I automatically go to the frame, because that gives me a complete look instantly. And then we're just going to very slowly, taking it nice and easy, just trace out the design. Okay. Now, when we was working with Linda prior to the Pergamano Summer School, Linda was showing us how we created this beautiful shading effect. I think I've got one of my pieces here. I know I digress slightly. When we have a look at this, so Linda was showing us how we could create the faux effect of lines and veins within our design. So if you don't want to trace out and you want to have a go at doing the shading, then have a look back on our YouTube channel and you'll be able to see this was pre the Pergamano Summer School. So we're probably looking about 7-8 weeks ago. I'm sure Jilly will pop the link up for you. And so yeah, if you wanted to give that a go, then this flower would be perfect to give that a try with. But we're going to keep it nice and simple and go back to basics with a little bit of colouring. Okay, so we're going to trace all of the design out. So again, you don't need to think about what you're doing. You're just letting the tool follow the groove and the design. See, for me, these designs by Linda Williams, these beautiful 1, 2, 3 plates, are a real good way of sort of not only getting a beautiful piece of artwork, but also for practicing different techniques as well. We do the little bits in the middle. There we go. Perfect. And with the Groovi system, you're going to get the same result every single time. Okay. Now, as we've said in the past, if you struggle with the pressure in your hand, there's no rule to say that you have to get that beautiful crisp white line the first time round. Okay, so let me just move over here and just show you something different. What you may find easier, if you're starting out and you're new to the Groovi and you're thinking, oh, it's not as bright or it's not as crisp. Okay, take the number 2 tool, which has a little ball on the end, and just go around it, the actual design. Okay, and what this does, again, I'm going over it several times, but because it's got a little ball on the end, it won't go into the groove as far. So therefore, you're not going to get that bright white line. But what it does is it breaks down the fibers more slowly of the parchment. So for example, if I just do the outline of this particular flower, and again, I'm just using the number 2 tool. Now, because it has got a little ball on it, I know I have to go a little bit slower because it will jump out of the groove more easily. Okay, but you know what? It's not a race, is it? We're here to enjoy the Groovi system and parchment art. So then if I go around on the little bits here, just in the middle, and so by using the number 2 tool, it just breaks the parchment very gently. So if I turn that over, yeah, look, you can really see the difference, can't you? You can see how this is a lot whiter. I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me for a moment. Excuse me. Oh dear. I think it was a tumble dry. But we can see that using the number 1 tool, how we can get a beautiful crisp. But look how different it looks without those lines within the design. See, so when you look at a design, don't think, oh, that's on there, that's exactly what I've got to do. It's all about having a play and investigating what you can come up with. Okay, so now if I pop this back in place, see, and it will fall gently back into the grooves. And now what I can do is I can take the number 1 tool and I can use the same pressure. And what this is going to do now is it's going to go further into the groove, stretching the parchment and making it a beautiful crisp white line. Okay, nice and gently. This is a real nice little warm-up exercise, isn't it, before we get into the colouring. So I hope you've all been having a good week so far, and you've been keeping out of trouble since we last met. I'm sure you have. I'm sure you've all been crafting and staying out of trouble. We're going to go around, just do these little bits in here, taking it nice and slowly. There we go. So now When we turn this over, we can see we've now got the same equal white crisp lines on both of the designs. See, and I love that how you can change the look of the same flower, but by just leaving elements out of it. If I turn it this way, see the flower looks different again, doesn't it? Shows it depends what angle you want it to come in from on your finished piece. Whether you want it coming in from the side or whether you want it coming in from underneath. Because we've used this, it's in a circle, you can position this any way you wish to on your card. Okay. How are we all doing? What's that from Lorraine? Lorraine is never out of trouble. I'm not saying anything, Lorraine. Okay. So, should we have a go at some colouring? I'm pleased actually I've done two, because I can show two different ways of doing the colouring as a comparison. So let's have a look. Do I need that plate again? No, I'm going to pop that on the other side. So whilst you're sort of just catching up, let me just show you. I've printed it off. I don't have the finished piece from Glynis, but on Sunday on the Clarity Matters blog, Glynis did it's a technique called painting with Perga Colour Exclusive Pens. And I mentioned it last week that it was coming up on Sunday just gone. And to me, it gives that real sort of porcelain look. So here is the butterfly that Glynis has done. And this is painted using the pens to build up the colour with a little bit of white work. So don't forget, always check out our Clarity Matters blog every Sunday at 12 o'clock. There's always a step-by-step from Glynis or Josie, one of the amazing design team, and it's a step-by-step for you. Okay, and I see that Jilly's just popped that link up for you. But again, this is absolutely gorgeous. So, you know, I've blown it up even bigger so we could really... So this is just a printout, so this really will not show the quality of the actual piece that Glynis has created. But look at the depth that she's created. Isn't that gorgeous? So if you want to see how the painting technique is done, then check out the blog and Glynis will gently guide you through that. Okay, so let's have a look then. So colouring in, for me personally, I always work on the back. Okay, and last week when we was looking at the pencils, I showed, for me, the pencils were my choice of colouring, because they, if you're new to it, you've got a little bit more flexibility in relation to, you can rub it out if you go wrong. Okay, with the pens, you can't. It's as simple as that. Once the pens are down, they're down. Okay, so we're going to have a look at these two colours here, the number 9 and the number 10. And I'm going to show a couple of different things to do. So, for example, on a larger area, I'm going to take the pen, I'm going to go to the bullet tip, and I'm going to go direct onto the parchment. Okay. Now, it's a really intense colour. I need to be careful that I stay within the white lines. Whereas previously with the pencil, I'd be able to rub that out. But with the pens, I won't be able to. Okay, now I can go over the lines in the middle. But let me just show you. So again, I'm just sort of going an up and down motion. Normally with the pencils, I go in a circular motion. Okay, so we can apply the colour direct. Okay, now that looks really, it looks solid, but it looks very flat, doesn't it? So if I bring a piece of white card in, so again, a little bit streaky, but we can let that dry and we can go back in with the colour on top as well. But if you take the designer papers, for example, and we pop that underneath, look, isn't that gorgeous? The colour tones work great. So again, we've said in the past, choose your backing paper first before you come to colour in. Okay, so we can go back and we can go in and do another one. So let's have a look. What other colour? So I've got this one. This is the number 9. And then I've got the number 10, which is a shade darker. So it's exactly like the pencils we were working on. Look, this is the B14. And then this is the B5. So they're very similar in colour tones. The pens are a lot darker. Okay, because we've gone direct onto the parchment. So I can go in, let's do this little bit here. Now again, I need to stay, I can go over those lines because they're internal. Okay, and then we can just sort of build up. So I'm going to do sort of longer strokes. And the technique that Glynis was showing us on Sunday is absolutely beautiful. So we're going to go on. And these are fairly fast drying as well. Although they're water-based, there's nowhere really for the colour to sort of sink into on the parchment. So you can see how where I've gone over in the different areas, I've got sort of like darker areas. But that's fine, because what I can do now is go over, and I can intensify that colour. Really, really nice. But sometimes the colours of the pens can be a little bit too overpowering. Okay, so let's turn this over now. So if I now pop the white card, so we can see the difference, hopefully. So if I come in on this one, can we see the difference? So this one here is where I've put a second layer on. But look, I can see now that I'm on the white card and I've come in really close, I haven't gone right up to that edge. And then this one just looks all bitty. Okay, so another good tip when you're colouring in, especially with the pens, is to use the light wave, the light panel. I think I've got mine switched on. Let me just grab it underneath. Let me just test. Typical, switch it on. Here's my foot. Okay, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to bring this in underneath. So I can really see now where I haven't gone right up to that line. But rather than going with the thick nib, what I'm going to do now is go in with the thin nib, and I can really go up to the edge. You see? And because I'm using the thin nib, I've got less chance of going over the edge. See? Lighter colours are a lot more forgiving than a darker colour. So you may want to practice with a lighter colour first. But you can see straight away, or I can, how I've now gone right up to the edge of my work. See here where I can see where I haven't, let's see if I can come in over here. Yeah, look, if I tilt that up slightly, see how I haven't gone right up to the edge, whereas on this one I have. Now we're looking at this really sort of magnified as well, and it's illuminated with the light. So any sort of, would you call them imperfections? Who's to say? Once you've put it onto a packing paper, any little bits that you may have missed is going to be hidden anyway. And unless someone goes, you missed a little bit there, I don't think they are they? So it's just giving you a couple of different options on colouring in. But for me, what I like to do is to get that softer colour palette. You know how we got it with the pencils last week? So how do we do that? Okay, so I'm going to take my mix mat. So we've got these available. I'm going to go to the thicker end and I'm going to scribble out colour just on there. I'm going to put the lid on, and then I could take the other colour, because again it's like a mixing palette, so I can mix these colours together if I wish to. Okay, so there's a couple of ways in which you can apply. I'm going to go over to this one now. To apply the colour, we can use the Pergamano No. 2 brush, which Glynis used on Sunday. Beautiful, really fine point to it. Okay, so we can use that to pick up the colour and apply, and say Glynis shows us how we do that. Or we can take our water brushes. So these haven't had any water in them at all. When I got them, I sort of haven't put any water in them at all. So these are undiluted, so to speak. So what I can do now is pick up the colour on the ends of my brush, and I can start to colour in and draw out that colour. It's amazing how far the colour can go. Now, when we've tried this before, what you'll find is there must be a reaction with the fibres of the nib and the makeup of the pens, is because this will take a little bit longer to dry. But I really like the effect that you can get, because you can really sort of build up those layers of colour. And for me, really, this is the only way where I've got a little bit of a safety margin. Because if I go on too heavy, I can, with a piece of kitchen towel, wipe it off or blot it. You don't want to wipe it, you want to blot it. Okay. So let's have a look. So I've done this one here. You'll notice I'm doing long strokes and then just coming right into the edge. Okay, so let me show you. Let's take a piece of white card, pop it underneath from the front, so we can see how we've got that complete softness compared to going direct on this. So if I turn that over now, we can see, wow, what a difference. It's the same color, but the brush has just really toned it down. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit, because I think the camera's struggling a little bit just to get into focus. I can see it going a little bit, so I'm going to come out. There we go. Hopefully that will stop it going. Okay. Now, as I was saying, see, that's got a sheen to it still. I don't know if we can see that. See how it's got a sheen to it? That's because it's still wet. Okay. So that will take a little while to dry. But if that's the case, then I can take a piece of kitchen towel and I can blot. See how it's picked up the colour? So that now is dry. Yeah, that's dry now. There's no sheen to it. Okay. So when we turn that over, I'm confident now that when I pop that down, if I was to move it around, it's not going to smudge all the colour. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the black mat. Where did I put my little brush? Take my water brush again with no water, pick up my colour again. But it's amazing how far this colour will go. It's just a case of you're just drawing it out. So you'll notice I'm always starting at the base of the petal. Now, whether this be a butterfly or any other image, that you want to get that beautiful soft colour tone to. See, and we're just going to draw it out. And it's amazing how the brushes can really bring that colour out into a beautiful sort of soft tone. Let's have a look. Yeah. Are you giving this a go? Are you playing along? Playing along. Are you crafting along, should I say? Or are you just watching? So now this one, I'm going to push away from myself. See that? It doesn't feel as comfortable. How strange is that? I suppose it's like, as Linda says with the white work, you find whether you work away from yourself or whether you come towards yourself. Okay. So again, we can just pick up this colour and just slowly draw it out. I really love this effect with the pens. I think it's a lot more effective that you get this beautiful sort of colour palette and colour tones. Because sometimes you'll look at the pens and you think, oh no, that's way too bright for a beautiful sort of soft image. But with the magic of the water brushes, with no water, you can get a really lovely colour tone. So now if I pop that underneath, let's have a look. See? And what you're, oh, look at that. Isn't that kind of where I don't know why, but I've got some real sort of tones. I think the pigment within the pen is, for me, is giving it a bit of a natural shading to it. Really strange. I'm sure, I don't know, I'm not a scientist, but I'm sure it's something to do with the makeup of the pens and the makeup of the brush. Okay, so now if I block that off, see if we can get a little bit of colour just off on that. Make sure you always use a clean piece. Yeah, see, that's lovely. Now I wonder what will happen now. Okay, that's right. So if I pick up some of this darker colour, see, and I'm using the same brush, and I can wash the brushes. You just need to make sure they're completely dry when you come to use them again. So I wonder if I take a little bit of that darker one and brush in just like I did. Let's do it on the black. That would help. Or does it? Actually, the white. Yeah, the white makes it easier. Now the colour on the mix mats, I can leave that, pop it to one side, and I can come back and just reactivate it in a day, 2 days, a couple of days. You just need to make sure you don't pop anything on it that will disturb it. It's not wet, it will dry, but with the water brushes, it will just reactivate it. It really is magic. And I love seeing in the water brushes, you've got 3 different size nibs as well. So I'm using the finer nib, and then there's a thicker nib, and then you've got a super thick one as well. So if you want to, you can use, if you're keeping, I would always keep one for a yellow, Bob always says, and because you would keep that as a yellow one permanently. Okay, and what you could do, you could, which one are you using? Got all confused then. You could just write on your pen, NW, no water, and then that will stop you putting any water in it. Or just put a black dot on the end of the pen, and then as long as you remember what that black dot's for. But I love this. Okay, so a clean piece of kitchen towel, just a blot. See? And now when we turn that over, let me come in on this camera. So we can see, so when you look at this one here, so this is using those pens, okay. Now this is using it direct, how vibrant it is. But remember with the pencils, that beautiful soft, let's get it the right way around, that beautiful soft color tone as well. We're getting something very similar. Okay, it's just a different process if you've got the pens or you've got the pencils. Now to me, when I'm working with the pens, I love using this technique because I get that softer blend, and I've got more control, if that sort of makes sense. See, so, and again, you can mix your colors together. Look, you can get something in between as well. Okay, so let's have a look. Let's do the base layer of the next one. So to do that, I'm going to take the white away. And we just slowly start to build up that color again. It really is magical, and I don't know why it's magical. If there's any scientists out there that can tell me, then let me know. Okay, so I'm just going to pick up the color again, and I haven't reloaded the mix mat, have I? I'm still using those same scribbles of color. And then this time I'm going to go from the top down. I mean, I really am not a colouring expert at all. I've watched Barbara colouring in the shack. I've watched Linda colouring in on parchment. I've watched Glynis. I've watched all the experts doing it, and I just try and copy what's being done and find what works for me. It's the same with the picot cutting. There's no right or wrong way of holding the scissors for picot cutting, which we'll have a look at next week. Okay, so let's pop that underneath. So yeah, look, we've got that real sort of blend of darkness along those edges. So clean piece of kitchen towel or a tissue, and then just give it a little rub. Not much on that one, but now when we turn it over, I love it. Absolutely love it. Okay, so when we take, again, the designer paper, it really does enhance the colorway, just as it did with the pencils. Now, looking at those two, can you tell which one was done with the pencils and which one was done with the pens? You can't, can you? The only way I would be able to tell would be to look at the back. And the one with the pencil has a sheen to it because I've used a wax-based pencil. Whereas on this one, it's soft and muted. There's no sheen to it at all. Okay. Let's have a sip of coffee. How are we getting on? Are you giving it a go? Even if you're not giving it and you're just watching, then you can go back later and watch and say, oh, let's try this. Just experiment. It's a piece of parchment. And that's what I think going back to basics is all about, is that we're not looking to create a finished piece. We're taking a small image and we're just practicing different techniques. So the tracing out of that beautiful mallow flower doesn't take long. So you don't think, oh, I've just spent an hour tracing it all out and now I've done some colouring and it looks rubbish, blah, 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 blah. And then you go, oh, I'm not doing that again. By having a small piece of artwork is sometimes, well, I know not sometimes, it is a better way for me personally. of picking up the various different techniques. Okay. Oh, I can see all these messages popping up and down. Oh, what we're saying here. So Karen would like a link to the brushes. Yeah, absolutely. You can find everything on our website. Search for water brushes. Gilly will pop the link up in a moment. And they come in sets of 3. And you've got them. We do like the large ones and the small ones. And when we say large and small, it's only the size of the barrels. So depending on what feels more comfortable, this is the large ones. I got the smaller ones in my bag just to show the difference. Let me have a look, because they're in my bag somewhere. They're at the front. I know they are. Okay. So this, yeah, there we go. So these are the ones, these ones have got water in. Are they the same size? I think they're the same size, just that I've got the lids on the different area. I don't think I've got the small ones. These could be the small ones, actually. I'm sure when Gilly puts the link up, she'll be able to let you know. I think I've gone just for large in all of my water pens I've got there, because I just find it sits more comfortably within my hand. Okay, and as I say, the nibs, you can just, I mean, this will dry. I mean, it's dry now. And you could just run it under a warm tap and then just let it air dry. Okay. Nice and easy. Excuse me. So another way of using the pens to apply the colour is using the blending nibs. So let's have a look. I'm going to go on to this one because I like what I've done on this one. I'm going to carry on and get that finished for next week. If we don't finish, wow, 1:45 already. No. Right, okay. Pull your socks up, Mr. Church, and get crafting. Okay, so I'm going to take some more colour, scribble out. I always do. I always go to the thin end. Okay, so now I can take my blending nib, I can load up my nib, and I can now apply the colour. But can you see, yeah, it's a lot wetter than with the water brush. And what happens is it stops moving. Okay, so if I take, I'm still getting a lovely blend of colour, but it does stop moving as it dries onto the parchment. See, so look, if I go on here now, let's come back off of the white card so I can see where the line is. So I can pick up the colour from there. You get the same effect, and I'm putting a little bit of pressure on the nib, because really I'm using sort of like the side. I'm not using the tip of the nib. I'm using the sort of the side of the nib. Okay. So I'm going to just let's pick up a little bit of darker colour. What I find when I'm using the nibs, you still get a lovely effect. Okay, see, that's where I went on with the dark. But now, that's harder for me to move. So I can go back in, and it sort of reactivates when I go. You can see, yeah, you can see how it's a little bit more intense in colour. Okay, but I'm not worried, and I'll tell you why in a moment. I can't believe where this hour's gone. Colouring just, it really does pass the time, doesn't it? So I can go in. I need to be careful of that edge. So let's turn it around so it's more. So now I'm going to use the edge. Okay, so let's have a look. So I have to take some paper behind it. Okay, and that works really well. But let me show it to you with just the white underneath. So again, you still get a beautiful blend of colour, and it just meant that all I had to do was just build it up as I was colouring in, because the nib absorbs more of the ink than the brush does. Then you just have to work a little bit harder to move the colour around. Okay, but what I can do, again, these magic no water brushes, what I can do is it reactivates it. So I can get a soft, it is crazy. Okay. So if you do find that you're getting any sort of like large dark areas and you just want to sort of break it down a little bit, and you've got the water brushes, keep a set just for dry work. Okay. So there we go. So that's broken it down again already. But I just love what you can do with the brush. As I say, you can use this with the Dorso crayons. You could use it with your watercolor pencils. But again, if you're using the watercolor pencils, you will need to add a little bit of water. And so I'd have a piece of kitchen towel handy to absorb a lot of the moisture from the nib. Because again, just because they're a water brush doesn't mean you have to put the water in them. You can use them dry as we're using here. Okay, so I can go in and start to build up that colour. Now, if you think, okay, I'm new to Groovi, I'm just getting used to sort of just tracing out the designs, and I really don't want to go on that bus journey any further just yet with my colouring in. I'm just happy with tracing out. Okay, that's fine, because there's no rules to say you've got to do this, you've got to do that. Now, on Friday of last week, during Barbara's A Moment of Clarity, was the launch of the fantastic brand new rainbow parchment. Okay, did you see that? I know there was a lot of you in the room on Friday, and I know a lot of you sort of caught up afterwards as well. And yeah, this rainbow parchment, it's been a long while coming, but I tell you what, the wait has been worth it, or it's been definitely worth the wait, something along those lines. Okay, so I'm going to show you again, if you did miss out on Friday. Okay, so for this I am going to zoom out a little bit. Zoom out because I need to show you in the folders. There we go. Okay, so rainbow parchment. There are 6 different color tones. Okay, so I've got mine in here. So we've got the beautiful pastel rainbow, and you can see the gradient. So I put a piece of white paper behind it so that you can see the true vibrancy of the color. Okay, so, but what's great is that you've got 6 different design effects. So we've got the rainbow. I mean, look at this. Look. Camera. This is the back of that. I've just put a couple of sheets. So we'll just keep on these ones. So you can see this one goes sort of diagonally in a beautiful gradual design. Then this one comes in from all 4 corners of the color palette. I love these ones. It reminds me of sort of like darts practice. Not that I play darts, but you get that beautiful ombre, the radiance coming out. And then this one, you've got the gradient running from top to bottom. Okay. This one, I wasn't sure about this one, but I was having a play with it the other day to show Barb with the beautiful Jane Lister&Co Rose. And it's beautiful because, again, you're just taking sections of it. So look, I've been having a play. This is this is one of Cherry Green's designs, which is our current offer of the week. And I used, this is Barb's favourite one, Paradise Island. And you can see here how you've got that beautiful ombre of colour. So we've got the beautiful oranges going into the teal, or the teal coming into the orange. Now, if I pop a piece of white paper underneath there, it looks beautiful, but you would need to do some work to bring out the design. Okay, it looks a little bit wishy-washy. So what we've also got, I say we've also got, I haven't even got a prototype yet. It's all being printed, but you've got the paper as well, the rainbow paper. So imagine this was the paper. What happens is when you sit that on top, look how, let me show you the difference. If I take a white piece of card, so you get that beautiful ombre there, but then if you put it onto a piece of paper, look how it jumps out, and it doesn't require any other work if you don't want it to. Okay, and you can mix it around, you can move it onto different areas to get a different color effect as well. But yeah, this is the Cherry Green. We've got these on the offer in the week in stamps and in Groovi. So you've got the lovely sentiments, and then you've got 3 shoes with all Christmassy accessories. The boot, one of my favourites, and these are all half price for the week. And it didn't take me long to do that at all. And I just took one of the borders, created a frame, and then popped the boot just on the inside. So this is the beautiful, I'm going to flick through now because I can't believe it's 5.2 already. The beautiful ombre radiating from the middle. Okay. So when you buy the parchment, it comes with the it's coordinating rainbow paper as well. And we were backwards and forwards trying to work out the pricing and the combinations and everything. I love this one, the Rose Garden. This has got to be one of my favorites. The beautiful pinks into the green. Again, you've got that gorgeous color palette there. You'll be able to see all the images in detail on our website. Okay, and the papers we called, it was funny because we were trying to come up with a name, but Barb obviously came up with it. It was an intensifier because it intensifies the color of the parchment. Then we've got the beautiful lavender fields. Again, beautiful colorways in here. I love this one as well. The lilacs and the green. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I say my favorite. It's really hard because they've only literally just arrived. I know there'll be ones that I'll go to again and again, but it depends on the design you're working with. See, the Lemon Sorbet Sunrise, very bright, fresh, beautiful, really zingy, like sorbet. But it really is sort of a must-have if you're getting into your Groovi, because it changes the way in which your artwork can look. There you go. Nancy's saying that lavender fields is her favourite. So pretty. See, in the I love. See, I go. You're going to be sick of it. This is my favourite. This is the Californian sunset. The beautiful smoky blues into the beautiful oranges and yellows. So I know Jilly's popped the link up for us. So if you missed out, go back again to our website or our YouTube channel, and Barb goes through this in a lot more detail than what I'm showing off here. So if you want to have a look and think, oh, I want to find out more about that, then check that out, because time just disappears. It really, really does. But to me, it really is a game changer when it comes to creating beautiful pieces of artwork with no skill, really. You don't even have to do any colouring. Again, because it's our coloured parchment, you can take the colour out with the eraser pencil and reintroduce colour as well. So don't think, oh, that's it, I've got to go with that colour. You don't. You can change it. So what else did I have on my list? So we've got the rainbow parchment and paper. Really popular. So they'll be sent out later in the week. We're just waiting for the papers to arrive. They are literally hot off the press. Oh yeah, the shack's back. Barbara's back in the shack on Thursday. at 10 o'clock, Facebook Live and YouTube. I'll be in the room with her as well, not physically, I'll be in the virtual room answering any questions, just like the lovely Jilly is today. And I've seen Jilly popping up with all the links, so I'll be doing Jilly's job on Thursday. And what Thursday in the shack is, oh, I can't think what the punchline was. We was roaring yesterday morning when I posted it. You'll find it on the Clarity the Clarity Facebook page as a reminder. You can click there to get a reminder to say, oh, that's what it is. What a load of baubles. So there's a bauble download on our website that you can get ready for that. Jilly will pop the link in for that. So if you want to get ahead and get ready. And it's all about going back to basics and the doodling. Well, I say basic. Doodling. When you start off with a plain piece of paper and you create those beautiful pieces of artwork, that really is a skill. So that's back on Thursday with Barb. I'm really excited for that. Offer of the week is the cherry green Christmas boots and shoes in Groovi and in stamps. The Clarity Matters blog from the lovely Glynis that she did on Sunday. And this coming Sunday, she's going to take that butterfly and she's making a beautiful little post-it note cover. You know, you get the little squares of post-it notes. If you're looking to make a gift for someone, then this Sunday, Glynis will guide you through step by step on how you can take your parchment art or even your stamped art and create one of these little projects. So before we go, let's just have a bit of a recap. Let's overrun a little bit because we can. I'm the director and the producer of this show, but you can see now how we're starting to, the color it's really, really nice. I'm going to zoom in again. Make sure I go the right direction. Hey, oh, that was a little bit fast. Sorry. There we go. Focus. Okay. So we've got the comparisons where, let me see if I've got a bigger piece of paper. There we go. So you can see. So this is where we've gone direct onto the parchment with the pen. This part here is where we used the blending pen and the mix mat to apply the colour. And then this one is where we've taken the water brushes and the mix mat to apply the colour as well. And this has all been done on the back of the parchment. Okay. And when I bring in my other piece, this was done last week with the pencils, and it was mixing them on the mix mat, picking it up with the blending nibs and colouring in that way. I also showed you last week to how you can go direct to paper. So really we've covered both techniques, but with a different medium. Okay, so last week we went direct to the parchment with the pencils and blended to get one effect, and then we went from the mix mat onto the parchment to get this effect. Today we've gone direct to the parchment with the Perga Colour pens, and then we've also then gone from the mix mat onto the parchment using two different implements to apply the colour. So we use the blending nibs on here, which is a little bit more intense in colour, and then we've used a water brush with no water to get a more softer tone. Okay, but again, I can go in now and I can start to build up, and I can also take the pencils and add a little bit of depth to it as well. So for example, let's do it with, let me just show you this quickly. I'm going to go on the front of this one, and is this going to be the right colour? No, I want the other one. So I'm just going to sharpen my pencil. Let's do that so you can see. I just tested, and I think this colour will work better. So if I just get a bit of a point to my pencil, see, and then I can add a little bit of darkness or depth. And I'm doing this on the front, but I'm being very careful to stay away from the white lines. See? And we can start to build up. Let me bring it in on this camera over here. Okay. So we can see now how we're starting to just add a little bit of depth on the front. Actually, let me bring it on so that I'm going to do it the old-fashioned way. I'm going to bring it up. There we go, to the camera above. So we can see. Now it looks quite grainy, doesn't it? But again, I'm not worried about that, because what I can do is I can take a dry blending nib that I've got stored in my little... Look, why don't you hold a few more things in your hand, Paul? Pop those down. I can take a dry blending nib and I can soften out those tones. Or if I wanted to, I could take that colour and get a real... So again, just practice on a piece of parchment. Just take the design. And you know what? If you do it on an area of your parchment, I mean, you'll notice I tend to go sort of towards the edges. And if you're happy with what you create, then you can either pico cut around the outside if you're at that stage. You can trim it down with a paper trimmer or a craft knife and a ruler and use it as a finished piece. But don't set yourself up to think, right, this is what I want to do. Play, and therefore you have a different mindset. So, well, for me personally, I do. If I think, right, I'm going to play and see what I come up with, and if it works, then bonus. But if it doesn't work, then I know what I need to do to change it, or at least have a go at trying to change it. So try that. Try tracing out the design, having a practice, but leave enough space around on your piece of parchment so that if it works and you're happy with it, then bonus, turn it into a finished piece of artwork, whether it be a coaster or a card or just a little notelet. So I hope you've enjoyed again today. Enjoyed today. Then don't forget, if you joined in partway through, this is available on our YouTube channel that you can watch again and again and again. Next week, we're going to have some picot cutting, and maybe we'll have a look at the same design again. So next week, you'll need your scissors of choice, whether it be the exclusives, the Perga cutters, or the ring locks. You're going to need a one needle tool, whether it be the fine or the bold. And if you've got any of the basic grids, then that's a great thing. They're sort of like an essential to your Groovi stash. But if you haven't, then a 2-needle tool, and we can play along with that as well. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I will see you on Thursday in the shack with Barb at 10 o'clock. And then apart from that, I will see you again next Tuesday. So enjoy the rest of your week. And yeah, I hope you've enjoyed that and you've picked something up. And I'll see you next week. Take care for now. Bye-bye.